Okay, so we're finally live after a very long time, and today it's another gardening upshop with Make Me Garden. We're going live after a very long time. Last time we did this live, I had a lot of technical difficulties, so that was one of the main reasons why we stopped doing it. Hopefully, today we'll have nothing of such sort coming in between. Alright, so let's just wait until Make Me Garden joins this live. Yep, it's here. Let me just drop in a comment. Gardening Gup. Garden. Somebody asked how is Prakash. Prakash is actually doing well. Gardening Gup shop with Make Me Garden. Whoa, Make Me Garden is in the house. Finally. Okay, let me just pin this comment. How you doing, Rohit?
Yeah, I can.
I asked you how are you doing?
Okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. No, it is basically that almost everybody of us are having a little cold or headache or something like that because seasonal changes. There is
Right.
something like a little bit of laziness or yeah, kind of fatigue kind of thing, a basic fatigue kind of thing. So it's okay. It's okay. We are getting back at.
It's okay, man. We're doing good. We're eating good food, green leafy food, especially green leafy
Yeah.
food. It's going to boost the immunity system. So, in this kind of climate
Huh.
and temperature, I think eating good food is always helpful.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. So,
And also,
let's,
and
yeah. Sorry.
we have actually covered a topic in this gardening upshop where we even speak about why seasonal food is important for the body because we get those elements which will help fight the external viruses or kind of external vectors which affect our
Right.
body. So this is going to be interesting even on knowing in a scale how this seasonal gardening helps people
In terms of boosting their immunity, huh?
boosting health in terms of productivity, in terms of harvest,
State of mind.
everything we cover it in a. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. So, get into the questions. For the people who are viewing it right now, we'll be going through 5 questions. And after we are done, or while we're going through, you can drop in your questions. And at the end of our session, we'll go through the comments and answer any questions if you have. Somebody has actually asked, how's Prakash? So, let me just answer that once again. Prakash is doing all right. He's recovering. So, good news there. Okay, let's dive into the questions. The first question: how is seasonal gardening important for good health and good garden? The first question is exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah. So let me answer this. When we are talking about seasonal gardening, it simply means that you're growing crops or you're growing flowers, you're growing anything which is for that season. So
Right.
especially vegetables, we already have a seasonal chart on our website, that is www.makemegarden.com. You have a seed
Seed,
chart where we talk about.
sorry, seed chart.
Yeah, seed chart. Yeah, you can get there and you can just check which vegetables or which green leafy vegetables or herbs are actually those which are for the season. So let's talk about the importance of having seasonal plants. Let's talk in both the perspectives. One is a personal health choice and good health uh, aspect, and another one in an economical aspect, where we talk about why farmers prefer more of seasonal crops. We'll try to talk about both the things because it will give you a good perspective about why seasonal gardening is very important. So first, let's talk about personal. Let's talk about our own gardens. When we talk about seasonal gardening, it means that we are going to plant something that is for this season. For example, now it is August. So for August, we have certain plants, like be it like okra, be it like brinjal. There are certain green leafy vegetables which have to be consumed in this month. So why? Why like that? Because when we see that when we put all the vegetables together, all the vegetables do not have the same levels of beta carotene, do not have the same levels of, I'm talking about vegetables, fruits, green leafy vegetables, herbs. Let's talk in a
Fruit in general.
general manner for
Yeah.
your understanding. Like the beta carotene levels, the citrus levels, or be the other kind of vitamins that are required, or the kind of iron, zinc, manganese, and all these elements vary from vegetable to vegetable. So nature is very much well aware that what human beings would need, it would be providing the beings, basically not just human beings but all the beings. We are talking about all the beings. So nature knows to generate something that is for need at the moment. Like it knows what which nutrition matches with which being perfectly, and that is why we call it as mother nature. That's a simple understanding, because a mother knows everything what a child would require. So similarly, when we talk about this aspect, basically there are two ways of distinguishing it. One, usually in summers, we would be needing a lot of carotenoids in the food. So we consume a lot of cucumbers, we consume a lot of green leafy vegetables because they have them in abundance in that particular season. So the
Right.
sunlight and the weather conditions facilitate in generating more of that content into the food. Basically, that's not the case for winters. For winters, we usually need content which has a lot of citrus, which basically helps remove all the viral material. Usually, there are a lot of flus and these all kind of things when there is gradual shift from summers to the monsoons and monsoons to the winters. So during this time, when we have food that has a lot of ethylene content and at the same time has a lot of citrus content, it usually kills all the viruses and bacteria that are within the body. So we usually
Right.
consume something that creates heat and a kind of acidic reaction in nature. Acidic is not too much on pH, it's very close to the neutral point, that is 7 pH points.
Right.
Usually the acidity levels vary from only 5 to 6, not more than that. Not too much acidic also. If you have too much acidic, your intestines will burn. So we cannot have too much acidic food, but it is close to the 7, the neutral point. So considering this point, why seasonal fruits are important, seasonal crops are important when we look at it in the bigger perspective for farming. As I've told you, for personal aspects, it's for good health. Basically, your hair's requirements would change from season to season. Your nails requirement, your blood requirements, your organ requirements would change from season to season. So nature is giving you all that things. And when you usually see, if this is not the season of tomatoes or mangoes, but if you see mangoes and tomatoes outside, you would be shocked in the first place. But when you go and check them, the quality would be very different, very, very different. They would look
Very.
wrinkled, they would look pale, they will not look bright and shiny, but they would be exact contrary to that.
But
So
if it
that's a simple understanding that that is
but
not made for the food.
very very good
Yeah.
in color and stuff, they put something inside it. It is not natural.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that's a simple understanding. Like we can see it with our naked eyes, so we can make conclusions with that it's not a good quality food. But when we talk about in a bigger perspective, when we talk about agriculture, there are farmers producing a lot of seasonal crops, and we hear a
Right.
lot of news saying that farmers are committing suicide due to their seasonal crop is not getting sold. They're not having that enough return on it, and even the minimum support price is not great for seasonal crops. It's only for exotic crops. Like just giving example to people, like there are a lot of French fry lovers in the market. They like potato wedges, they like French fries, they like a lot of potato material, which they like to consume throughout the year. Because McD has business throughout the year, it means French fries are selling throughout the year. So if you do that, the local farmer is dying. you're trying to grow something which is not for all the seasons. Just saying,
Right.
they'll try to grow potatoes in all the season, irrespective of whether it has that natural substance or not. They'll be growing it time and again. Automatically,
Right.
it means that, let's take an example, that cucumbers are something that have to be sold more in summers. When automatically the farmer will try to grow more of cucumbers. Now, people are having a lot of potatoes over cucumbers. Automatically, the actual substance is dead. We are removing a seasonal plant from the list to just compensate with something that sells. Now,
So the
farmers are also
demand,
forced to do the same thing.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So it always depends on the demand. So that's why people screw up their health. Even when we see in that perspective, you are having something which is not for that season. You're trying to consume more of it just by going by demand. Nothing to do with something that is related to the necessity or the need of the body or need of the
Right.
temperature requirement. So when we talk about agricultural perspective, when people grow at a scale in the given temperature, like in the given season, the produce is extremely good and also more in quantity. So usually when we have it more in quantity, the farmers get more benefit out of it automatically.
Okay.
Usually people are not promoting it as expected. They're actually trying to do a lot of mismatches with the natural and seasonal gardening aspects. So that's the reason farmers are suffering. If we go with seasonal plan and seasonal output, I can confidently say out of the research I have done that we would actually not need any warehouses. We would actually not need any storehouses or air conditioning rooms or any kind of middle support, because seasonal crops also sustain for longer time compared to non-seasonal crops. Like, for example, if this is not the season for cluster beans, they would not sustain even if we grow. They wouldn't stay for more than a week. They would start spoiling. But whereas if this is the season for tomatoes, they'll stay for at least 10-20 days without spoiling. That's the
Right.
whole agenda of having seasonal gardening in an economical viewpoint. And also, it's very important for people to understand that we should be consuming something that is seasonal. It shouldn't be non-seasonal, because it's for your health, and in an economical aspect, it is also going in a negative aspect to you.
Right.
The commercial farmers make money. They make money out of it. They get rich, but they ultimately know that it is not very useful for your body. They just want to make money out of the demand that's created in the market. They have no intentions to supply it to you. So if people start demanding the farmers that we want seasonal crops, their lives would get way better. And even our lives on a healthy aspect, on a personal lifestyle aspect, would get way better. So that's
Right.
more important. So seasonal gardening is very, very important, guys. It's most underrated in the market. And even we try to promote seasonal gardening by giving all our clients, whoever have opted for our kits, we give them seeds which are for all season. Though we might not plant seeds of a different season now, but we are making sure that we give all the seeds, because they should not miss out on that seasonal gardening experience. So whatever we teach them, they can apply it right away and try to make more of it.
Right. It's actually a very, very true point, man. Like, you've known, I felt sick recently, right? During these past 7 days, even right now, I've been drinking a lot of coconut water, again, vitamin C related items, just to boost up my immunity to stay strong. So, these seasonal food items actually do help a lot in terms of boosting your immunity. And you can actually see the result within days, not even, months. You can see the result within days. Literally, right now, look, my cold has almost gone. So, generally speaking, if I get cold, I have it for at least 10 to 15 days without any question. This time I just stuck to a very strict diet, not eating anything else, and including all the nutritious aspect of it. And within 4 to 5 days, it has reduced almost completely. So I'm a living proof, guys. Go for the seasonal food.
Yeah, that's very important. Having something that's very necessary is something that's very important. Don't miss on the schedules. It's always good to have good food at the right time. It's very important.
Definitely, definitely. All right, let's move on to the second question. Are raised grow beds better than individual grow? Sorry, are raised grow bags better than individual grow bags in long-term perspective?
Yes, this is a good question because we never have supplied grow beds to anybody till now. We know about grow beds, but we have never supplied grow beds because of space
We
constraints. Basically,
at Mamu's place.
we can plan. Yeah, there is actually they have built it with concrete. That's a beautiful idea, like having with bricks and concrete. That's a permanent one. That's a good idea because it has environmental control without any other elements, and it will have its own heat control and kind of system. So yes, basically grow bed is nothing but it's a 8 into 10 or 5 into 10 grow bed where we usually it's like a small piece of farmland. Like you pick a farmland and get it to your place, a piece of it. It's like a bit. So it's a grow bed. It's called as a grow bed. Whereas we promote grow bags. Grow bags are something that individual bags you might, if you follow Make Me Garden regularly, you might have seen a lot of people buying from us, we installing at their place. The white and black color bag is called as the grow bag. So grow bags are something that we are promoting. But okay, let me talk about importance of grow bed also. It's not that if we don't promote it is bad. It is we don't promote because it's very expensive or at the same time. Yeah, you can see that.
So this is
Yeah,
our grow.
this the table one is being promoted as.
I mean, there are several different kind of things, but yeah, something like this.
Yeah, this is exactly a grow bed. It is. It should be around 3 into 10. I guess it's 3 into 10.
Yeah, somewhat like that.
Yeah, it's 3 into 10 because when we started with gardening, I think there was a guy from MP. He Shivraj Singh. He was selling those. He actually stopped producing those, but I know him. So yeah, so grow beds are something like your piece of land where you get a bed directly. Grow bags, there's a frequent question from clients saying that is this enough? Like, will it support for a long time or will it be very durable for a very long period of time? But what we assure clients is that we give them a time of 1 year to 1.5 years, depending on their conditions, their terrace heat and everything. I'm sure, I think a good testimonial would be asking Mamu because it's been almost a year installing at her place. If the grow bags are fine, it means that our warranty is legit. But yeah, seriously, the bags are durable. But people, they ask what more? Like, if I want to go a step ahead and do something big for myself and my terrace and try to do it like a continuous process, definitely grow bags is not sufficient for you. You will have to upgrade to a raised structure called as grow bed. It gives you good support at the same time, and the nutrition distribution among the plants is very united. Like, I mean, it is very central and it is very equally distributed to the plants when we do in a grow bed. Like, plants take their nutrients based on their requirements. In a grow bag, I think whichever sapling or seed we put inside will have to take all the nutrients, whatever are available in it. But in a grow bed, there is automatically the distribution done by nature itself and the roots. The penetrating roots will take their nutrients equally in whichever ratios they want. So that's one certain advantage in it. And also we can have our markings with equally distanced place between the saplings. So there won't be any yeah, there won't be any confusion between the plants, like whether this is right, this is wrong. There won't be any sort of confusions also. It is very clear process of doing that. And grow beds are more like they have better temperature regulation. Like whenever there is heat, they can take more heat also. They can control it. When there is excess of rains, the drainage system is extremely good. And also there is sufficient space for plants. And people who love microgreens will love grow beds because they can grow a lot
Enough.
because yeah. So there is basically a lot of scope for soil. Soil also automatically changes its position. It can get changed easily. They level themselves. The old soil goes down. The base ones come up. So the rotation is also easier. The soil rotation is very easier compared to grow bags. Grow bags have a very tough process. We'll have to remove them entirely. We have to again mix them and get back to job. But grow bags are very easy. You have to just flip them. You have to clear them. That's very easy in a perspective. But you have to understand that they'll consume up 500 kgs of soil at a go. Our economic DIY kit consumes only 250 kgs, whereas a single grow bed will take away your 500 kgs. It means technically you are investing 7,500 only for soil. So you will have to be, so you will have to be prepared when you're thinking. You almost, if you invest a little more, you'll get two rainbow garden kits basically. So so you will see lots of our South Indians basically have a lot of conservative mentality. They think in that's good, that's good. I don't deny it. But when you think of a grow bed, you will have to think better, think big also. So that's important.
And also, one major setback of a grow bed is if you ever want to change the position of it, that will be one hell of a task.
Yeah, you will see stars
Yeah,
without any technical without any technical person. You will have a lot of struggle doing that. So better avoid it.
and also, another major point is if you're an individual who's growing plants for the first time, let's say you grow multiple plants or bunch of plants in a grow bed, and one gets a pest, खेल खत्म दुकान बंद. It just spreads like this. So, if you have individual grow bags, you can, control the entire spread of the pest wherever it's going. Rohit, are you there? Connection gone.
Yeah.
There?
No. I'm there.
Awesome. So, okay, so Rohit, what would you suggest? Let's end this question. What would you suggest for a beginner gardener or an intermediate gardener if they are in a dilemma of choosing between grow beds and a grow bag? What would you suggest?
For beginners, always a grow bag is better. For people who are very ambitious about gardening, people who want to invest big into gardening but want to be successful, grow with a grow bed. I think we'll introduce grow bed very soon. We are working on technicalities because grow bed you have to lay it on floor or else you have to get a raised structure under it. So I'm just looking at alternatives on what I can have under the grow bed. Usually it is bricks or concrete slabs which are used under them, but I think we'll try to find a better solution. And also, as in the beginning, if you remember, we told you that we'll try to get some invention in place. We are also trying to work on a gardening pod if possible. So gardening pod is like your ready to go herb kitchen. It's not for vegetables, it's only for herbs. You can just open it. It comes with a table. It comes with a table and a small shade net covering, where if you just open it, you will have the herbs ready to consume. So we are experimenting on gardening pods. So even either we'll choose between gardening pots or gardening beds, grow beds. So it will depend on how this goes.
Right. So again, stay tuned because we
So yes,
we
as
not only
Suraj
have some crazy
beginners go with the grow bag.
beginners grow bags, intermediate and advanced. Like you can experiment with grow beds because you do have the experience of how to raise your own plants.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the third question. What are the must-have tools for gardening in any season? I think this is very helpful for a beginner.
Yeah. So let's categorize into 4 categories that we'll plan to have tools. First is very basic. You should have a pruning tool. I mean, cutting branches, small stems and leaves. you got to have a pruning tool that is mandatory, or a scissor. Scissor is not safe because sometimes you'll end up hurting yourself in the process. Sometimes the stems are very, very wet.
Scissors may even break. Scissors, when being used on plants, they might even break because not all scissors are meant to cut plants.
Yeah, exactly. And even they might not be that sharp, which can handle crops. So there's a pruning tool in specific. If any if you go to a particular plant shop, yes, that is a pruning tool. Even you get in 3 sizes and 3 shapes. You can go with anyone depending on the crops you have. If you have brought anything from Make Me Garden or those, yeah, that is a bigger one. That is for branches and leaves. The earlier one was for your terrace garden setup, a small one.
Here are the different ones. I don't know if you can see it. This is the small one, and this is a bigger one.
Yeah. So the bigger one will be used to cut leaves, branches, or something like that of some well-grown plants which are above 5 feet in height. But if you are cutting something like Make Me Garden setup, use a small one. And we'll be showing you. We'll also post pictures. We'll do a tools knowledge session or something like that. Also, we'll show you how they work. And yeah, the second category, pruning is done. The second category is a must-have for all the people, especially in seasons like monsoon and winter. There are 3 tools. I guess one is the trowel. You need a gardening trowel. You would need a gardening fork. You would need a gardening spade. These are ready to go by in anything you do, because they are for, yeah, these are the basic tools. The first one is not that. First one is weeder. That is another section. Rest all you should be having. This is a broad spade, a narrow spade. The last one is trowel. The between one is a gardening fork. Yeah, gardening fork. That is a trowel.
Right.
Yeah, so you should be having these tools basically at your home for ready to plow the soil, because soil will get hard anytime if you have a lot of red soil, because 90% households have pure red soil in their house. You are going to land up in trouble anytime. So you will need to have these tools mandatory at your place. And if people who know balancing the soil, like having proportionate coco peat, red soil, compost in place, you would need them occasionally. But people who have only red soil must have these tools, because you have to loosen whenever the conditions get worse. So have them handy in hand. And also when you're planting a new plant in your pots, you would need them. Basically, you would need them. So always having these tools are ready to go at your house. And advanced tools, there are many advanced tools for plowing, which are not for you. They're for agricultural or big lands. Or there should be at least a bit of 20 SFT or 30 SFT or something like that. Then we can do something about it. And the third category, as Suraj showed you, it is the weeder. Weeder is the first tool you have. It has 2 heads. That is a weeder tool that is really good for small bags, small pots. You can just put inside the soil and just penetrate it. Just penetrate it inside and just pull it up. The weed will be out. You can remove all the weeds without putting your hand in the soil. And last one is the general category tool. Many people don't categorize it, but having a water can or a rose can at your home is a tool. It's very important, because people over pour water, plants die because over watering. So don't do that. Get a rose.
They either use a pipe or take an entire mug and pour a mug directly. When you use a rose can, the dispersal of water is very different. It falls much gently, and you understand it's being distributed all over, and you can control it very easily.
Very important for plants, because it's like bathing. If you put all of heavy showers on the body, the bathing experience is ruined. You don't like bathing again. But whereas when you have that gently sprinkling water, the good showers, you have a great bathing session and you feel really refreshed. So similarly, plants like gentle water flows. They do not like heavy water flows. So don't do that. People just throw in aggression. Their enemies, their plants. So be very gentle. So having a rose can is very important. If you are an impatient person, if you are an impatient and non-time taking person, go with rose cans. Make your plants feel happy. So these are the four categories of tools, and have them at home for your easy gardening procedure.
Definitely. And you know, these are few basic tools that we also provide all our customers. Whoever takes our packages, we just give them basic tools, especially a rose can. To be very honest, Bharani sir actually insisted on a rose can personally because he understood the value of it too, and you can see the result
Yeah.
on the entire setup very clearly.
Because as a person, he's very much into greens. So I think taking that decision was very quick for him because he knew what his plants would need. I think that niche understanding is very important.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so let's move on to the fourth question. This is an interesting one actually. Is planning, labeling, and tracking progress important for every garden setup or only for big budget garden setups?
Okay. So taking COVID care, I mean, taking protection against COVID, is it important for only rich people or only for or for the privileged people, not for the ordinary people? Everybody has a right to seek protection against COVID. Are you being biased for taking vaccine? Are you being biased for wearing mask or something that you are poor, you cannot wear it? You are underprivileged, you cannot wear it, you cannot take a vaccine. It's for everybody. So similarly, gardening is a discipline. It's a art, hobby, whatever you call it. See, people winning medals at the Olympics is because of their planning, labeling, tracking, everything. Whatever happens is at a stretch. It's a for every medal winner, uh, his sport is not something like a very serious activity. It's a hobby. It's a discipline for him, which is giving him all the pleasure that he seeks in doing it. So similarly, for every gardener in this world, every gardener, I mean every single gardener, planning, labeling, and tracking progress is as important as getting them installed and having that curiosity in the beginning. Because I have seen many clients who have started with great enthusiasm, but today they have nothing. They just did it for the sake of it by seeing 10 people do it. That's called the networks effect. But I am not a networks effect person if it has to be with me, because I see it as a long term thing, whichever I take up. So similarly, in a gardener's view, it has to be a thing. It's like a marathon, basically. You have to go on with it. You have to include it. Every every aspect of it has to be in your life each and every day, and your life depends on it. Simple. If once you're taking up gardening, always remember that it's your life. You're going to take this culture forward. So similarly, I would say I would quickly give 3 points on how you label. Sorry, I mean how you plan, label, and track the progress. Planning is nothing but if you have nothing in your home, no plants, zero plants at your home. Let's assume that a situation where you have no plants. So first thing is when you are planning out, first, if you are knowledgeable or not, nobody cares, but be sure of what kind of plants do you want. See, everything comes with a warning tag. Everything, even the shirt comes with a warning tag saying that don't use washing machine, or don't iron this cloth, only dry it. So when a shirt comes with such tag, a plant will come with a lot of caution. So please make sure that you know each and every aspect of it. See, people like flowers, they don't like maintaining flowers. They find it tedious, they call us. So your first step is wrong. If you're calling us immediately after a month of installing your plants or 2 months, it's very wrong, it's gone wrong. So what you have to do is basically understand your requirements. Don't go by fancy. Don't at all go by fancy, because fancy things won't stay for a long time if you believe so. If you can perceive in a gardener's perspective, good good looking things take a lot of time to manage. There are beautiful influencers on Instagram. People think they are beautiful by birth. No, they are not. They work hard day and night to maintain their routines. It's their hard work that is paying bucks to them. Similarly, beautiful looking plants will take a lot of time. Your patience, they'll make you cry that why did I even pick this thing? They're dying. I spent thousands of rupees on this. Similarly, planning is very important. If you are a low maintenance person, go with low maintenance plants only. Don't go with anything else. No matter they look ugly for you, no plant is ugly, according to me. Anything that gives oxygen is beautiful. But if you think they don't even look beautiful, go buy them because you are a non-maintenance person. Go with your attitude. Your attitude towards plant is your beauty. Your house beauty reflects on your attitude. Your plants are your attitude. So always have that thing. And labeling. Coming to labeling is the warning tag which I was talking about. You have to give time for plants which need time. As I told you, if you are a non-maintenance person, take junk plants which grow even without your presence. They don't need your freaking presence, like cacti, algae, those kind of things don't even need you. Or some plants which are on the roadside which don't even need your care. Just show them your face, they'll leave. That's it. So take those kind of plants and have it in your house. So labeling is basically nothing but giving tags to the plant, saying that this is what I have to give to this plant. This is what this plant needs. You have to have that knack and understanding before buying plants. That's very important, very, very important. And third one is obviously tracking progress, because every progress is like a milestone for you as a gardener. Like whichever plants we provide, day 3 they are a sapling, day 10 they are a plant, by day 21 they're ready to harvest. I mean, with the green leafy vegetables. Whereas with the vegetables, 2.5 months you will find a fruit. So this is our progress. We show you clear progress where it starts with a seed and it grows into a beautiful harvest. So we have a track of our happenings. So similarly, when you have bought a plant, leave about non-maintenance. If you are having flowers, if those flowers are meant to flower for 5 months, they have to flower for 5 months. If they even don't flower for 1 month, that's not your progress. It's a failure, basically. Right. So you have to understand where you are going wrong. And similarly, some plants, they tell you they grow this many feet in so many days. If they are not growing, it's your problem. So you will have to understand your plants. How does that happen? By planning and labeling. If you knew what you had to do for your plant, similarly, you would do that. So these 3 steps are very important. If it's very simple that people ask, is it for big garden or small garden? If you are successful in small garden, if you buy a big house, it will help you even in the big house as well. If you fail in this just for 10-20 plants, how will you handle hundreds of plants when your desire is to be a gardener, or your desire is to be a good sustainability person? How will you just try to give up with something that is 10 to 15? Don't go with networks effect. That's totally wrong. You might have seen Ekta from Gardening Up. People they get inspired seeing her, and people might have seen Madhavi Garu from Vizag, who's called as the Mad Gardener. People see these people and get inspired, but ultimately they're not able to do something that they are doing. So there's a complete mismatch. So don't let that happen. You start small. Don't go at networks effect or somebody who's doing on YouTube. That's very wrong. It's you. You have to create your YouTube now, and 10 people are watching you and waiting for you to give a review. So that's important.
So, this is something we do at our every setup that we put up, because since we put up herbs and vegetables, there are high chances of getting pests. So, even with pests, we have an idea that after every 30 days or 30 to 40 days, generally a pest attack happens for vegetables. There was one instance where, Rohit was shocked. Like, how the hell is pest not here yet? So, that is basically because he has done all the process and he has been observing the progress in such a way that we understand that, okay, so and so time we'll get the pest. So we are already prepared for whatever has to even happen to the plant. And in general also, it's like, if there is no plan, what the hell are you doing? It's just like it's like a blind shot you are aiming at. If you have a plan, you have
Yeah,
to go
it's ridiculous.
execute
It is
and
ridiculous.
all right. So let's move on to our fifth and the final question. How to approach a gardener should one second. How to approach a gardener? Uh, do we go by their experience or qualifications or testimonials, or are there any indicators or parameters on which we can judge them? Like Rohit just mentioned two names. So how do we approach a person in terms of, do they have the right skill to even?
Yeah. I'll tell you. Right. I also took names of two people wantedly because I knew this question was coming. Because Ekta is a person who studied agriculture. Basically, she is from somebody who is into plants. She read botany, and Madhavi Garu from childhood she is into gardening. Her mother taught her, her grandmother taught her. She came and she got her niche, where almost all the Telugu people go by her. Whereas Ekta is like entire the country goes by her, because Garden Up is a very popular YouTube channel, because most
Right.
of the people like the way she presents it aesthetically and how she does it. She has a beautiful cam, she has an entire setup and everything. It's her passion. Whereas Madhavi Garu has a lot of raw content. She supplies you as it is, whatever is there, and she is called the Mad Gardener. So both are awesome. Both people are awesome. We have no bias towards anybody. Every gardener is awesome, because Raitu Nestam also covers a lot of content like this. Beautiful terraces in Hyderabad. Even I sometimes think, is it from Chennai or Bangalore? Because it's that beautiful how Hyderabad people present their gardens. So basically,
Right.
when you approach a gardener, I think the first point everybody should understand is, you are the first person who picks up your call is not a gardener, is a promoter of the concept. Basically, you can never explore his experience in words or something. It's always that he'll be conveying something that should sound good to you. No matter what, any gardener will not talk bad about himself or will not give you any pros or cons about him. Anyone, no one will do that. So most of the people go by Google. They see whatever pictures they have posted, whatever they have done. But the truth is that 90% of the people don't have their original content. They just take content and paste it, because they want to just get views and go run by it. But that's not how it happens. It's people who generously talk about your plants coming up, and it's very tough to differentiate or distinguish with people who have an imbalance between experience and qualification. It's really hard. So what I would suggest is, first you have to identify people who are very passionate about gardening, because it's very evident when you see their content or posts. And especially, I would say, when somebody has no social media or something and they're just approaching you randomly, I think you shouldn't be approaching them in the first place, because their presence and their ideology talks more about who they are. And keeping aside experiences and qualifications, because heart has nothing to do with the brain, as people have told it multiple times. It's people who are more passionate, who do more good to, are the people who do more good to the community. So basically, anybody holding an agricultural degree would basically not aim into doing gardening as a whole business. That's simple. Highly qualified people aim for jobs. They want to be experts, they want to be managers, or they want to be something in that field where they are abundantly paid. So we can rule out the concept that an highly qualified agriculture person will start up a business. No, a person who's very passionate about business will start a business, and whatever they will do will be out of love and passion for the environment. So this is an aspect which everybody should be considering while going with a gardener, and I consider it very important. Even when we have suppliers, we don't go with somebody who's very well known. We go with somebody who is very much interested to help somebody who's a startup. or somebody who's very passionate about plants and they want to help them. So that's how the community grows. And I think we have given sufficient time for getting enough contacts. We have given more than a 1.5 year of time in just identifying suppliers and true potential people in the market. So I think that's how
Right.
passion grows. And ultimately, people with more experience also would not want to help you seriously. They want to only get paid for their experience in the first place. Because an average expert charge rupees 5 to 7K only for visiting your site. But whereas people like us visit you for free because we want to just see and understand that how your garden works and what we can do it for you. So similarly, passionate people would never want it in that aspect. So similarly, I would say we should not judge anybody based on their qualification and experience, but more about their passion. And try to see their social media messages, how biased they are towards cause or towards business. If it is more towards business, avoid them. If it's more towards the cause and about spreading the message, go with them. They'll help you and do something. If you see time and again somebody promoting products, we will not trust them. Basically, I would not trust them.
Hey man, listen, if you are watching this entire thing and you have the question of where do I approach, who do I approach for gardening info, well, there is Make Me Garden. Well, we do a podcast every alternate week about gardening, putting out info which people could utilize. So if there is something you really require help with, you can always hit up Make Me Garden, and we would love to help you out, man. We actually enjoy answering people's questions because, as Rohit mentions, number one, not a lot of people want to garden, and again, not a lot of people approach to clear their gardening doubts because they're afraid, because a lot of people approach companies and then they are told 500 rupees a visit, 1,000 rupees a visit, or for everything there is some money involved. So with Make Me Garden, we honestly don't care about the monetary thing. First, we want to deliver the value to you, and then if there is something you want to do further, then let's see where it goes. But until then, we honestly don't even think of the monetary aspect in the beginning. So my thing would be like, just hop on to Make Me Garden's channel or page. You'll get everything you want. A to Z will be there. If it's not there, wait for it. The information will come there soon.
Yeah, that's true.
So Rohit, do you have something? We're done with the questions. Do you have something to share?
Yeah, I have received two comments. One is from Prem. He told a good evening, Prem, and we hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good with great health and doing lot of business, saving people from pigeons, all the protruders, and all the people who are against happy homes. Like you are clearing all the rodents and pests from people's place by installing your beautiful nets, and also saving lots of kids who fall from the terrace by safety installation nets. So yes, you can always ping safety, Omni safety nets. It's a beautiful startup and also growing and booming business in Hyderabad and other south states as well. And yes, I had a message from Sneha Akka. She's my senior actually from Obul Reddy. So she
Wow.
was my biology senior, and I think they are one of the people who are those priceless people in my life who taught me to be compassionate to everybody. Because seniors have this attitude and all the shit in colleges and schools. They try to be they try to be bossy around you. But these people were like my own classmates, and I think I felt more bad for their farewell than for my farewell itself. So yeah, she wished me all the best. She has actually seen me after a very long time, and she has wished us good luck for the business. Thank you so much, Akka. And we would like to do a lot more in this business. And I'm sure you'd be happy seeing me do a lot more things with my team. And yes, we'll be growing. We'll definitely be growing and doing good to people.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. This
Yeah.
was actually a very good session. After a very long time, we hopped on Insta Live. We were doing this in the lockdown, if you remember. Um, It's awesome. A lot more people get to see what we are talking about. That's a very good thing. So let's see. In the future, it's either going to be our office location or the car or IG Live again. On that
Yeah,
note,
or
sorry,
we
go
could
on.
have it at the client's place also. That's not a problem because they would also want to see gardening upstuff live.
Definitely, that's something new. We should actually try that, man. Maybe have a client
Hmm.
on board for the show as a guest.
Yes.
So,
Yes, we should.
on that note, let's end this podcast.
Yeah, and even before we close this, I think few people have also asked about someone's well-being. So I would say that please don't drink and drive, man. On Make Me Gardens context, we always promote safety. You are happy, we all are happy. No matter what you give us, business or not, you live your life happily. Just when you say I am safe, I am happy, you would be more happy any day, given any day. So please don't drink and drive, be responsible and enjoy your life. Have lots of greens, have stay healthy. That's it.
Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye, bro.